Great Scott, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I am back, not from the future, but from Loop 410 and Crossroads. That's where I was a little while ago. Ernie Zuniga here, your intrepid host for another live edition of Pickup Lines presented by, let me get the gloves, Gamez Law Fights. I'm in a Delorean, as I mentioned. I teased it yesterday that I would be doing the show live from a Delorean. So if you're keeping score at home, this week I've done, well, I will have done 2 episodes of Pickup Lines. Today I'm in a vintage DeLorean with a flux capacitor in it. Tuesday I was sitting in the driver's seat of a $400,000 Ferrari. Not bad. So as soon as I win Powerball, I'll be able to upgrade my vehicle to one of those things. But at any rate, it is great to have you here. Let me give a little love to my sponsors real quick. I mentioned Gamez Law already. Mia's Mexican Grill, Rudy's Flooring and Remodeling, both in Helotes. The nonprofit council, which not too long ago raised more than $5 million to help hundreds of nonprofits in our area. So kudos to the crew at the nonprofit council. Generations Federal Credit Union, Letty and Eve, and all the good people over there who are happy to help you if you need anything related to your finances, because I'm certainly not intelligent enough to help you, but they are, and they can do that. Then Absolute Power electrical contractors. You know, sometimes life happens and you need something fixed electrically at your house, or maybe you want to install some lighting for your outdoor area, or whatever the case may be. Give them a call, Absolute Power Electrical Contractors. Okay, time to reveal the owner of the DeLorean that I'm in here. Let's bring in our guest. A man who has several titles, like his business card, I believe, is like an 8x10, or maybe 5x7. The Honorable JR Trevino. I think you're the first guest I've had on Pickup Lines who I would have the title Honorable in front of.
You had Mark White on here, didn't you?
I did. Do you address city council members? Because I had Manny Pelaez as well. Do you address them as the Honorable?
Well, Mark definitely. Manny.
No.
No, Manny's definitely honorable.
Manny, so I sit corrected here inside this DeLorean, which I can now confirm belongs to you.
Yes, sir.
So I've never sat in this car before, and I was driving over. I was guessing there was a Back to the Future connection, and this was before I even knew you had a flux capacitor in the car. So it is safe to assume, were you even born when the first Back to the Future movie came out?
Oh, that's a good question. What year did it come out?
I was going to say like 83, 85.
No.
You were not born.
No.
I'm thinking early 80s, because I believe Back to the Future 3 came out in 89, 90, around that time. So, but is it safe to assume that those movies inspired, in part, why we're sitting in the DeLorean right now?
100%.
Yeah. What's your favorite of the 3?
I think it's always the original.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the first movie, which was in the it was filmed in the 80s, he went back to 1955. The second movie, he went 30 years ahead to 2015. The third movie, he went back to, or Doc Brown and Marty went back to 1885. If given the choice, would you go 30 years back, 30 years ahead, or would you go to the Wild West, 1885?
So first of all, I'm really impressed that you knew all the years. Cause
I've seen those movies like 100 times.
I would probably go to the future. The past is pretty primitive, and as they saw during the movie, there was some struggles with some of the luxuries that we appreciate today. So
right. Still no flying cars, though, because in the Back to the Future 2015, people are flying in on those cars. And
yeah, this does not fly, not even flying on the road.
When you get it up to 88 miles. Okay, so how did you get this car? How did that happen? When did you get it?
So, I grew up as an enthusiast of Back to the Future, and I remember my parents took me to Universal Studios, and I got to be in the prop car.
Yes.
Which was like chopped, and it was on shocks, and so they put you in there, and it's just two techs that are rocking it back and forth to simulate the storm.
Right.
In the Back to the Future 2.
Yes.
And so it was always like super cool, iconic car. And I was driving down San Pedro, and I saw it on the side of the road at a small dealership for sale.
This car.
And so it was Hobie. You might remember.
Hobie Motor Cars.
They had all kinds of unique cars.
I remember, yeah.
And I said, that's really cool. So I came home. I talked to my girlfriend. I was like, hey, we need to go look at something. And so we drove by, and as I was about to make the U-turn to pull into the parking lot, she's like, "Oh my God, it's a DeLorean." And I was like, "Okay,
That's a good sign.
this is why we're together." And
She's a keeper.
She's a keeper. And it was kind of a little bit of an impulse buy.
Okay.
So Ernie, like, I process things with, there's a method to my madness.
Right.
Like, so is there a chance that this value is going to go up? It is.
Yeah.
Is this something that is going to come across my lap frequently? Probably not. And
Right.
so instantaneously I did this calculation. I was like, you know what? This sounds like a good investment.
And it was a working car? Like, or did you have to put a lot of work into it? Well, I mean, what year is this? Like,
This is 83.
83. So, like, literally Back to the Future 1 time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to, is this what it looked like when you bought it?
More or less.
Yeah.
I've done some little upgrades, done some maintenance items, made it work perfectly. I had a small issue probably like a year ago. Last 4th of July, I was at a friend of ours, John Fristo's house.
Yes.
And I was leaving, and everybody wanted to see the cars I was leaving. And I always joked, I said, well, hopefully I make it home. And I didn't make it home. And so it was a belt that spiraled out of control. And 6 months later, it's back running.
So, guys, I was just say, is it easy to find parts for a 1983 DeLorean?
Shockingly, it is.
Really? Okay.
So there's a gentleman in Houston, I think his name's Stephen Wynn, that bought all the old parts.
I see.
And so it's probably easier to find parts for this car than some other cars.
Yeah. Any sense as to how many DeLoreans are? I saw a story the other day where there was an abandoned one found in a barn or something.
Yeah.
And like, I thought of you actually, but any sense as to how many of these cars? Because this is in really good for being a 40-year-old car. I mean, this is in really good condition.
Yeah, it's in good shape. I think there was like 6,000 made,
Okay.
and they were infamous for their quirks and problems.
Yeah.
So between natural mishaps and then some
Right.
accidents and stuff like that, there's definitely less than 6,000 out there.
Okay. And how did you add the flux capacitor?
So the flux capacitor is actually a part of a larger speaker enclosure back there that I removed because I was replacing a fuse, and so I haven't finalized the issue, so I didn't want to go through the hassle.
Yeah.
But it was just a nice homage to
Absolutely.
Back to the Future.
I love it. Okay. Well, I mean, we could stop the interview right now and I would already be impressed, but there's so many more layers. Like JR Trevino is like an onion. You just peel and
But
you
not
keep
as
peeling. And it doesn't make me cry. Not as smelly. But, oh, by the way, you are the mayor of Castle Hills. And
Yes.
we're sitting in Castle Hills right now.
We are.
What is it like to somebody who is outside this community, or maybe seeing, sometimes we have people watching in other parts of the country, whatever.
Sure.
How would you describe Castle Hills, and what is it like to be the mayor?
How much time do we have?
Well, I got to pick up my kids at 3:45.
Okay, well, I'll make it faster than
Okay.
that. So Castle Hills is a small bedroom community that was incorporated in 1951. And San Antonio, it was like the outskirts. It was the sticks.
Sure.
And so as San Antonio grew, it just kind of ended up growing around it. And so now we're this small enclave that's a little woodsy, as you can tell.
Yeah, we're under a lot of shaded trees right now.
Yeah, we are, by design.
No, I love it. I love it.
But so it's a small bedroom community that's located in the middle of San Antonio. And so a lot of people think it's a little weird that you have a city within a city. And like, we have our own police and fire and public works and city hall, 911 dispatch.
Okay.
And the beauty of that is that, we have like a 2 to 3 minute police response time.
Sure. What's the population?
We're just under 4,000.
Biggest issue Castle Hills, or that comes across your desk right now would be what?
The biggest issue, for the longest time when I first got here 7 years ago on council, it was streets and drainage, like stereotypical city problems. We've put a lot of time, money, sweat, and tears into addressing those, and so we've made enormous strides.
Right. Yeah. So obviously you don't get rich off being the mayor of Castle Hills.
You
So
do
like,
not.
what do you do for a living, or where did you get the income to get at a DeLorean and support a family and those kinds of things?
So for the past 15 years, I worked with my family's construction company, Traco Enterprises, and that had been great.
Yeah.
I got the opportunity to get in there kind of young and work my way up the ranks and learn about the business. But I also, almost around the time I got in the company, I joined the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
And so I had been in various capacities there, from just a member to doing the leadership programs, the Alex Bersenio Leadership Development Program, Leadership San Antonio, and just kind of going through the ranks. And so I started 2023 as the board chair.
Right.
And then when our CEO stepped down, the board said, well, the processes say that you should step in the absences. And so I became the interim president and CEO, and I've taken a step away from my company,
Right.
which my parents probably like. But it's really given me an opportunity to go all in on the chamber to make sure that we're maintaining everything it is that the people have come to expect from a 94-year-old organization that's the first Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in the country.
I was just going to say, because I know we had the gala not too long ago to celebrate all of that, and it was an amazing event. But a lot of people may not realize, I mean, being the interim CEO of a chamber of this magnitude with the history and everything, this is not like it's just a hobby. I mean, this is a big deal.
No.
Whether, and I don't even know, like, if you plan to hold on or become the CEO or hold on to the interim title. I mean, this is like a full-time job for you.
This is a full-time job, yeah. And so, I told the board that the chamber's made me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I met Norma.
Mm-hmm.
That's made my life. And so it was a privilege to be able to continue to give back in a different capacity now.
Right.
To an organization that's given me and so many in San Antonio so much.
Right. So I mentioned the gala. We had the gala the other
you did a good
Saturdays. Thank you. No, I was honored to be there. And Norma was there, bless her heart. And I want to make sure I have the timing correct. The gala was on a Saturday night.
Uh-huh.
She delivered a baby
Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. First of all, salute to Norma just for pulling off that back-to-back. How has that changed your life, and how is that going, having a daughter, right?
Yes, a daughter.
Yes. Congratulations. How is that going right now?
They require a lot of attention. I don't know if you knew that.
Wait till they're I've got 2 teenage girls at home. Wait till she's a teenager.
No, I'm just enjoying the little moments. Everybody that I have, all my friends that have children, is like, just enjoy every little moment because they go so fast.
That is so right. And I know it sounds like a cliche, because my oldest is a high school senior right now, and so yes, you find yourself reminiscing and thinking, my gosh, I remember when she was ye big and everything. Now, as I look back, I don't see the DeLorean is not built for a car seat.
No.
I don't see a place where you could put a car seat back there.
It is going to be a little bit before she's able to enjoy the DeLorean.
I see. How crazy is it that DeLorean is now like headquartered in they came to San Antonio?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I think I'm a huge San Antonio champion, which is the cool part of being at the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Is I get to champion for our members, champion for the city, but it's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like more large business. I mean, DeLorean obviously is an international, massive brand, but that they're coming here, I feel like you've got an inside look, but I feel like more companies like that are choosing San Antonio or coming this way.
Yeah, I mean, so, the city just announced last week, JCB, the agricultural machinery company, was coming to San Antonio, which is huge. Over 1,500 jobs.
Yeah.
It's really helping redefine San Antonio. But selfishly, I think DeLorean has a cool factor.
Oh, for sure.
And I think, it has almost a cult following across the world. And so San Antonio being at the forefront of that, that's kind of awesome. And then it's happening at Port San Antonio, which is where the chamber is at.
Yeah.
And, I think that Port San Antonio is destined to be a hub for South Texas.
Every time I go over there, I mean, it's just cool stuff happening. And what other car has these doors? What do you call these doors? That
gullwing doors.
They open, and just like in the movie, but it is, you do sit low.
Yeah, so it's not a comfortable car.
But that's okay. It's still super cool.
It's almost a little dangerous because I'm driving and people are trying to take pictures. And
I would imagine, like, driving on 410 or whatever. I know you're a law-abiding citizen.
Absolutely.
But have you ever tried to go 88 miles an hour in this thing?
I would have to be going downhill with the tailwind and maybe even a vehicle in the front breaking the wind.
Yes. Okay.
It's very slow.
Drifting or whatever you call it.
Yes, drifting.
Yes, you'd have to. Okay. Well, that's again, not that he would ever exceed the speed limit. I'm just saying, just for the movie purposes. Getting back to the chamber. Talk about. There's small businesses and everything in the community. The benefits of joining a chamber, whatever it is. I mean, I know you've got loyalties to the Hispanic chamber, but for entrepreneurs or business owners out there, what are the benefits? Because I know a lot of people in that community, and it's just universally, it's good people just helping each other, and you're all in it for the right reasons, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So we get some grief, and not the chamber, Hispanic chamber, but chambers in general, that there's so many in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
But I really believe that each one of the chambers is serving a different population that feels like they're not represented.
Right.
And so that's why I think the Hispanic chamber, the joke that, people frequently ask me, do I have to be Hispanic? And we're like, no, we're a chamber for all people, specifically small businesses, and that's where we advocate and we educate and we provide resources and really help people work on their business instead of in their business. Because I think you have somebody that's a professional and they're great at their business, but being great at what you do is helpful, but you really have to be proficient in the operation of a business. And so it's a whole different skill set, and that's where we are a resource.
How many businesses are members of the Hispanic Chamber right now?
Oh, man, I think the last count was over 700.
700. And room for more?
And room for more, yeah.
What, in layman's term, the role of a CEO or an interim CEO, what, like on a day-to-day basis, what is your job?
I get to hang out with cool people like you.
Yeah. Like what?
Like you.
Oh, well, I mean, that's, come on now.
I know, so we have a small but mighty team, and we're really doing all kinds of different things, from events, mixers. We'll do like a breakfast mixer where we can bring people together.
Right.
Opportunity to exchange information. We have 3 leadership programs. We have Latina Leadership Institute, which we started 8 years ago, looking to put Latinas into positions of power, advocates for business, corporate board seats, nonprofit board seats, and then the Briseño program, which is after former city manager Alexander Briseño.
Right.
That's been going on for like over 20 years. And then we're partners with the Greater San Antonio Chamber for Leadership San Antonio.
LSA. I've heard so much about LSA, and I know a number of people who've been in that program before, and nobody will say a bad thing about it. It's like the time of their lives. I mean, it's a commitment, but is LSA common, Leadership San Antonio, is that common in other big cities, or is that unique to San Antonio?
I'd like to say that nobody else has it like us.
Right.
But there are other cities, and so there's Leadership Dallas and Leadership Austin, Leadership Houston. But, our reputation is pretty stellar. We're going on 48 years. Yeah. Shout out to the LSA co-chairs this year. I think they did an amazing job. We had Jeff Arndt and Stephanie Suarez.
Well, I know Jeff runs VIA, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then Stephanie and Ronnie Suarez, 2 of the nicest people on earth with integrity roofing and siding. So, like I said, I wasn't making it up. It's good people. It's good people. By the way, there's an effort right now to have Jeff Arndt on pickup lines with me, but I'm told that they want to do the show via bus.
So they do a bus rodeo. Have you heard of that?
Is that where the media comes out, or they compete?
Yes.
Parking and all that stuff, and driving it around a cone or the barrel. I've seen that.
I think that you should coordinate it around that time.
Okay.
I've done the bus rodeo once. It was a lot of fun, and it really gives you a whole level of respect for what these operators deal with, driving this huge bus, and then you have people on the back, making noise, talking. Hats off to them for what they do. So
we'll see. But we're always talking about ways to, because again, I have not sat in my car all week long for pickup lines. I was in a Ferrari the other day, and I mean, I would put this right up there with the cool factor. Do you think, in your opinion, should they have made, I know it couldn't happen now, but should they have made a Back to the Future 4?
So I like reboots.
You do?
Sometimes I think the idea is cool that there's so much excitement around an old movie that they want to bring it back. I don't know that they always go well.
I don't think they do. That's just my opinion.
But I think there's potential for it too. I think it just depends.
But I'm talking about, like, because they were making these movies like every 3 or 4 years. So, like, for example, in 1993 or 4, do you think if all of the cast could have come together, like there was, like they should have done a 4? Again, you couldn't do it now, obviously, but with the original cast. But were you happy with the way 3 ended?
I think you always want more, but I think that's I think that's the way it should end sometimes, right? Like,
you don't want to jump the shark, right? Is what they call it and everything.
That Ramiro Cavazos taught me about jumping the shark.
I love it. Okay, so here we are on a Thursday. You've got your Hispanic chamber duties, mayor of Castle Hill duties. Like, please tell, is this a typical Thursday for you, where you get to chill out in front of your beautiful home in the shade?
There's no typical Thursday.
Yeah.
So the chamber there's always crazy things going on. Part of my goal as an interim CEO is just being engaged in the community and letting people know that the chamber is out there advocating and being present and learning about the opportunities that exist for our members, so that we can let them focus on their business, but also let them know what's going on in the city.
Right.
And so it's really a motley crew of things going on.
Well, I was gonna say, you have a newborn now, so you'll never have a typical. You're exactly right. You'll never have a typical Thursday again, for a while at least. Yeah. In a good way, though. I mean, I think in a good way. But okay. Well, super. So, remind me, Castle Hill's mayor. Are there term limits, or could you be mayor forever?
I could conceivably be mayor forever.
Really? Because like Mayor Nuremberg in San Antonio, this is his last term. He's gonna have to figure something else out. But you're in Castle Hills, you could keep going.
In theory, yes.
How long is your current term?
So I just got reelected in May, unopposed, which was awesome.
Good for you.
But I have 2 more years, so May 2025.
And you're not prepared to make any announcements here yet?
No, I mean, I always said that I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I grow up, but I know that I want to be serving people and making a difference in my community.
I don't know that you could fit anything else in your schedule right now.
I don't think I need to. I think I'm good where I'm at.
No, and I mean, the Hispanic Chamber was 94 years, right? So, I mean, before you know it. And it's the oldest, remind me again what the significance, it's like one of the oldest, or the oldest Hispanic chamber in the country. I mean, that's not just, I mean, that's saying something. Yeah. How often do you hear from other chambers around the country, just like trying to figure, like comparing notes, or like, seeing like what you guys are doing?
Pretty frequently, so Ramiro Cavazos, who was here, went up to the U.S. Hispanic Chamber, and he's done a really good job of bringing us together for annual conferences. But a step above that,
yes,
we talked about this during the gala, we started the Texas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Coalition. And so, the impetus to that was my predecessor, Dr. Erica Gonzalez, and she said, why don't we have a Texas Hispanic Chamber like other states that do? And I said, I don't have a good answer. So I did what any other leader does, take somebody else's good idea and then run with it, right?
Exactly.
So, we started that up for the legislative session this year. We launched it in January. And so now we have 11 member chambers throughout the state. And the idea is some of these chambers are a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
And so they don't have the experience, the bandwidth, or just the knowledge in general on some of the legislative processes. So what we do is we'll put everything together and put it in front of them.
Got it.
And so somebody that's at a smaller chamber, and not a chamber that's not fully staffed, can still provide that value to their members. Yeah.
Super cool. So you're paying it forward, so to speak, if you will. But very nice. A few more minutes with the Honorable Mayor of Castle Hills, JR Trevino. Is the Delorean your everyday car, like I'm driving to the chamber?
No.
Driving to City Hall?
It is not. It doesn't have power steering.
Oh, okay.
So I really get.
How many miles does it have?
39,000.
30. Are you kidding? Less than 40,000 miles?
Yeah, I mean that's what it says.
No, I mean I believe. I'm not accusing you of tampering with the odometer or anything, but that's crazy. And I'll have to post pictures or something, because it's you're missing just the time circuits and everything. I mean, you got most of it here. Do you believe, like in all seriousness, do you believe that time travel exists? Like that's a thing?
So here's my thing. I've thought about this.
Okay, I figured you had.
if time travel exists in the future, wouldn't they come back to us at some point and expose us to it?
You would think so, because I've heard that theory before, that time travelers are among us now. We just don't know that they are, and they have not announced themselves or made themselves known.
That's kind of where I'm at. And then I end up getting dragged back to reality and dealing with more pressing issues that are in front of us
Oh,
now.
the chamber's on the go. Yeah, I gotta. Oh my gosh, the city and everything. How difficult is it to juggle everything? Because you talked about being accessible with the chamber. You know, 700 plus small businesses. You have to be. I mean, you're the mayor of a town. You have to be accessible there. And with the family and everything, how difficult is it I like to say, spin all those plates and juggle all that?
So, you know, it makes me think of work-life balance.
Yes.
I don't believe in work-life balance. And I think, you know, when we're out in the community trying to do amazing things, it's really hard to say, like, okay, I'm going to split these up into even silos. I believe in work-life integration. And so,
okay.
You know, the idea being that I think that you and I are a lot alike. A lot of what we do, we get intrinsic value.
Yes.
And so when I'm out doing things for the chamber, I enjoy it. Like, that's fun for me. And so it really checks that box where I might not be going bowling with friends, but I'm doing things for my community with friends.
Right, right.
But to answer your question, you know, at the city, we have a great team. And so the city manager, Ryan Rapley, who's been the longest serving city manager in like 20 years, is the responsible for all operations for the city. And so my job is really policy oriented.
Right.
And I'm not the only one. We have an entire council. So the lift isn't that heavy now.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've done a good job of having a great team in place. And so at this point, you know, we have one meeting a month. And there's some little things in between, but it's a small city. You know, so 4,000 people, 2.5 square miles.
Yeah.
It doesn't require 24 hours a day.
Right.
I think it requires to be on 24 hours a day for something that happens.
Like, how often do you get a phone call in the middle of the night? Like,
not that often.
No. Okay.
Thank God.
Okay. No, wait, not tonight at 2 a.m.
And I'm going to be like,
baby's
Ernie.
crying and the phone's ringing. It's all Ernie's fault.
Yeah, I'm going to call you when I get the call.
Yeah, well, I may not answer, but you can call me if you want. I was just telling you before we came on, I said, you know, in all seriousness, whatever your political alliances are and what you believe in is you do you. But I've always been impressed by people who just are wired that way to serve. And I mean, it's like I said, if you were just mayor by yourself, like, that's it. That's plenty. But you still continue to pursue more stuff.
Yeah, and you know, I firmly believe that opportunities come in front of you, and that's your chance to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
I never in my life, Ernie, as God is my witness, thought I would ever hold any political office.
Right.
But, you know, I came to Castle Hills and I got to meet people, learn about people, and I see Generations watching.
Yeah, our sponsor, Generations Federal Credit Union. Thank you. That's a good eye.
They're in Castle Hills. Do you know that?
Well, they have a new building that's either about to be opened or opening very soon.
Yes. And they're a Hispanic Chamber member.
So Letty and Eve, who I don't know who's watching, but all the crew at Generations Federal Credit Union, I love how you did that and just kind of worked one of the sponsors.
If you need a co-host, I can get a side chair.
Because you have nothing else going on right now.
There I go, overcommitting myself. No, never mind. I'm sorry.
No, but no, yeah. So you never envisioned Mayor. Does that sound weird when people call me Mayor Trevino?
So you know what's weird is I'll watch movies. Like, for perfect example, I was taking care of the baby and Ghostbusters came on.
Yes.
And we've all seen Ghostbusters 1,000 times.
The original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you like originals only.
Well, I do. I'm just saying for the younger audience, not the one that came out like 2-3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm watching it, and there's a scene where they're talking to the mayor, and I was like,
"Yes,
I'm a mayor." Like,
yes.
Like, what were they saying? Would I say the same thing? And so, for as many times as I've seen it, you know, before I was mayor, I never thought about it that way.
Right.
But the bottom line is, you know, I got to be engaged in the city, and ignorance is bliss, because I started to learn about issues and the people that work here and their challenges. And I was like, you know, I can't turn a blind eye once you know what the issue is. And so I have the utmost respect for anybody that serves or even runs for office, because a good mentor of mine, Kevin Wolf, once told me that it takes 2 skills to be a good public servant: the skill of getting into office, and the skill of doing the job while you're in office.
Yeah.
And so you forget that you have to be good at both of them, because you could be the best public servant, but if you can't get elected, you don't get a chance to do the job.
Well, the Wolf family knows a thing or two about serving and putting in time in this community and everything.
Yes, they do.
Well, listen, I'm sure you have much more pressing things to do. You got to feed the baby, or you got to take a call or do something. But this has been a lot of fun, and the studio space is not bad either. So, any final departing thoughts here before I turn you loose?
No. Thanks for having us on.
This is great.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Castle Hills, which I love, near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
The Hispanic Chamber, which is also near and dear to my heart. I think that there's always an opportunity to serve, and I would encourage anybody that's watching to find a way to plug in and support a passion of yours, because no matter what out there, people will always welcome any one of the 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure.
Love it. That's a perfect way to end. Mayor, thank you, sir, as always. Appreciate it. The Honorable JR Trevino, owner of the Delorean, interim CEO at the Hispanic Chamber, Mayor Castle Hills, new father. So many more titles, and I just don't have the time to get into everything.
Ernie's friend.
Consejo. We didn't even talk about the consejos.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. But this has been another episode of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm. Until next time, be safe and have a fantastic day.